Hello everyone! Hope you're ready for another adventure, because today Wayne reads Watchdog and the Coyotes by Bill Wallace. This is going to be a chapter book, so we're going to take this a few chapters at a time, okay? If you get lost, there's going to be a numbering system listed with each video. Also, as we read, always remember that you can follow along with the words by hitting the CC button. That way, you can find out what we're talking about. I wonder who's going to join us for this adventure. Well, hello there, Mr. Moon. Since we actually haven't met some of the characters for this book yet, I think Mr. Moon is going to be a good person to start the story with. And then, who knows, maybe some more characters will join us for other adventures in this book. But let's start meeting them, shall we? Chapter 1. The warm, dry breeze that swept in from the desert felt good on my cold nose. It tingled the little hairs inside my ears. It made them twitch and wiggle. My left paw dangled over the edge of my floor. I draped my right paw over it and rested on my chin. I watched. The sun was nothing but a huge orange sliver above the wooden fence around the backyard. It was pretty, but I forced myself to quit thinking about it. I had to watch. That was my job, and I couldn't afford to mess up again. This was my third chance, probably my last. In a moment, the sun would disappear, and the only thing left would be a bright glow. Higher in the sky were mixtures of yellow and gold streaks of clouds were darker. Low in the sky, they were blue. Above, the blue changed to a deep purple. I wished the fence wasn't there. I wished, just once, I could see all of the sunset. Far off in the desert, a coyote howled. It was a lonely sound. It made me feel lonely too. I watched. But behind my eyes, visions came. Memories flooded my mind. I missed my mama. She had been so big and wise. I missed my little boy. He had been fun and full of laughter. I missed my big boy. He was rough and tumble, and I could play with him and not have to worry about him crying. How I longed to be with them. Not that I didn't love my new master. He was nice. His laugh rolled and tumbled through the air like thunder rumbling before a storm. But he was too old to play. His wife didn't play with me either. They fed me well. They petted me and scratched me behind my ears. But there was no romp or play in either of them. That was what made me lonely, especially on nights like this, when they weren't home. I watched. After a time, the deep purple color filled the sky. The smell of night came, and all was quiet, and the quiet made me feel even more alone. Things could have been worse, I guess. That's why it was so important for me to watch. That's why I had to do a good job. I had to be careful. Scotty had warned me. Scotty was a nice Scotty. He lived in the yard next to mine, back when I lived in California. There had been a chain link fence between our houses, and not only could we visit, but we could actually see each other. Scotty told me that he was a digger. It's a bad habit, he explained. I just can't quit digging. It's kind of like some masters have a habit of smoking cigarettes, and no matter how hard they try, they just can't break their habit. I'm like that too, only I don't smoke. I dig. Scotty was on his third master when I met him. 2 days after our last visit, Scotty dug up the guy's rose bushes, and sure enough, straight to the pound. That's it, man. About 3 masters is all a guy gets, then off to the pound. Despite the warm breeze from the desert, the memory of Scotty sent chill up my back. The Schaefers were my third masters. A sound jerked me from my sad memories. I watched. For a time there was nothing. Then a black stocking cap appeared above the back fence. It hesitated for a moment, then rose. I watched. A man's face was under the hat. Nervous eyes scanned the yards. A wisp of a fall breeze brought a scent to my nose. Something about it was almost familiar, but it was a smell I didn't know and an odor I couldn't taste or understand. The man looked around. Then there was an old chunk of a shoe found the wood rail and he climbed over the fence. I watched. Wonder why he didn't use the gate, I thought, as he jumped from the top of the fence. When he had landed, he looked all around again. He had on a black cap, a black shirt, and black pants. The only part I could really see was his face. His eyes and his forehead scrunched up when he looked toward my doghouse. The way he acted, the way he smelled, it brought a feeling from deep inside me. His actions made the fur bristle on the back. He inched forward. Watching him made my lip curl. My teeth felt dry. He stood very still for a moment, then edged towards the house. I guess he hadn't seen me or arrested inside my house. When he got close, he suddenly froze dead in his tracks. He started to shake all over. Nice doggy, his voice quivered when he whispered towards me. Nice puppy. The smell was much stronger now. I still couldn't hear or see or understand it. I forced my lip closed so my teeth wouldn't show. It made the hair relax on my back. My tail made a thumping sound against the wooden floor of my doghouse. He seemed to relax. Then, never taking his eyes off me, he moved to the Schaefer's house. But then he disappeared around the side of my house. I climbed out. I peeked around the corner of the doghouse and saw him kneeling down at the back door. He took a tool out of his pocket and started wiggling the doorknob. I couldn't hear or see the wiggling, but I moved closer to watch. The man worked and worked. Finally, he glanced around. When he saw me standing right next to him, he gave a little squeal from his throat. He jumped so hard he landed on his bottom behind the back door. Nice doggy. His voice shook as hard as he did. Don't bite me. He put his hands up in front of his face. Nice doggy. The strange odor was very strong. It came up from the man in the stocking cap. The smell sort of hurt my nose, but at the same time it made me feel big and strong inside. It was weird. I won't bite you, I assured him. I'm nice. I learned my lesson with my last master. I'll never bite anything or anyone ever again. But like most people, I guess he didn't understand dog. He kept his hands up and kept shaking for a long time. At last, when I kept wagging my tail and smiling, he crawled back to his knees and jiggled the doorknob some more. I watched. He opened the door and went into the Schaefer's house. I could hear him rattling around inside the house. Every now and then I could see the glow from a little light he held in his hands. After a while, he came out of the door. I watched. He carried a big sack to the fence and lifted it over. Then, still shaking and smiling at me, he came back to the house. I watched as he carried another bag, and then another. He climbed last time and waved at me. Mr. Moon, I don't think this is a good guard dog. You dumb mutt. You're the kind of watchdog that I love. I smiled back at him and waved goodbye with my tail. I didn't really like being called a dumb mutt, but the way he laughed and smiled made me feel good. In fact, I could hear him laughing and chuckling as he dragged the heavy bags all the way across the sandy field behind my yard. Besides, he did say I was the kind of watchdog he loved. That made me feel great. More than anything else in the whole world, being a good watchdog was one thing I wanted. I guess I had done a good job too. I knew my master, Mr. Schaefer, would be very proud of me because I watched, just like a good watchdog was supposed to. I'm very interested to see what this pup learns from his instance. So let's do another chapter for today. Chapter 2. I'm going straight to the pound, I whined. This is it. There's nothing left. I'm a goner. I paced up and down the fence along my side yard. I didn't know what the pound was like, but I remember Scotty whining and crying when his master was about to take him. I remember that I never saw him again. Whatever the pound was, it was bad. This is it, I whimpered. He's gone to get my collar. When he comes back out, my tail tucked under my belly, my floppy ears drooped so low to the ground that they dragged on the ground. What are you whining about? I jerked. The growl from the other side of the fence startled me. My droopy ears perked up. Who's there? What are you whining about? The voice repeated. It was Red, the Irish setter who lived in the yard next to mine. I'd never seen Red because of the wooden fence. In fact, this was the first time he'd ever talked to me in the whole 2 months since he had moved next door with his family. I'd tried to talk to him before, but he only snarled at me through the cracks between the fence boards. It was good to hear his voice. Besides, I was in so much trouble that I really needed someone to talk to, even if it was someone who only growled. I squinted. I could only see through one of the cracks. I messed up, I told the fence. I messed up bad. I don't know how it happened. Red hair and one eyeball appeared at the crack. I saw the cars and the red and blue lights on the top last night, Red said. The men in blue uniforms kept going in and out of the house, and your master kept yelling. What did you do? Get inside and tear the living room up or something? No! I shook my head so hard my ears flopped against my side cheeks. I'm a watchdog. I don't go inside. So what did you do? I did what I was supposed to do, I shrugged with both ears. I watched. Red growled. I think I'm starting to like Red. Exactly what did you watch? I folded my tail under my bottom and sat down. Well, I began, staring at the eyeball. Last night I was watching, just like I was supposed to. A little while after dark, this man dressed up in black climbed over the back fence. He kept wiggling something at the door, and finally he went inside. What did you do? I watched, I answered, wiggling my whiskers. I watched him bring a big sack out of the house and lift it over the fence. Then what? I watched him bring out 2 more sacks. Red snorted. And you watched, right? I smiled. Right. That's all you did? I twitched my whiskers. That's what I'm supposed to do. I watched because I'm a watchdog. You didn't growl or bark at him? Oh no. Dogs get in trouble for barking or growling. You didn't bite him? Heaven forbid. I never bite. Never. There was a strange humph from the other side of the fence. I pressed my eyes closer to the crack. Red had fallen on his side. He rolled back and forth and he wagged his tail and laughed and laughed and laughed. It's not funny, I whined. I'm in trouble. My master's probably going to take me to the pound. Red just rolled, laughed and laughed. Finally got to his feet and told me to follow him to the back corner of the yard. Once we got there, he started digging. Dogs shouldn't dig, I warned him. You'll get in trouble. Red dug faster. No, I won't. The bushes are thick here. My master won't see the hole or the dirt. Red is smart. Even if he does, he won't get mad. Besides, you need help. You're the most confused, messed up pup I have ever met. My ears dropped, and my tail folded under my tummy. Please don't dig. I had a friend named Scotty. He was a digger. His master took him to the pound. And when you go to the pound, well, no one ever comes back from the pound. Well, Mr. Moon, I thank you for joining me for another chapter. I guess we found out that this is a watchdog that likes to watch. Very, very interesting, and we will see how this goes. So, I will see you in the next one, Mr. Moon, and I will see you for the next adventure here with Wayne Reeves. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye!